All right, now welcome back to Algebra 1. Here we're going to continue learning how to solve these single-step equations using addition and subtraction. We're just going to crank through some additional problems to show you how to build those skills. So for instance, if you had a problem that looked like a plus 9 is equal to 1, and you wanted to solve this equation for the variable a, how would you do it? Well, first of all, you look and see that a has a 9 added to it. So the goal here is to try to get a by himself. You want him to be by itself. So since this is plus 9, you need to do the opposite, which is subtracting 9. But when you do that, you have to do it to both sides of the equal sign in order for it to be valid. So it'll be a plus 9 equals 1. That's the equation you started with. And what you're going to do is subtract 9 from the left, but also subtract 9 from the right. And what that is going to do is 9 minus 9 is going to give you 0 on the left. So really all you're going to have is a on the left equals. And on the right-hand side, you'll have 1 minus 9. Now you have to think back to remembering how to do that. You have 1 minus 9. So you have subtraction. So the way you do it is 9 minus 1 is 8. But the sign of it is going to go with the larger absolute value. So you have a negative 9 here and a positive 1, so it's negative because that's the larger absolute value. If you don't remember how to add or subtract negative and positive numbers, you need to go and review that. We spent quite a bit of time on that skill earlier. So you see what we did is the same operation to both sides, subtracting 9, and that killed the 9s here, which isolated a, and the answer is negative 8. Now, just to check your work, if you stick negative 8 in here, making a is equal to negative 8 plus 9, if you add those two together, I think you can convince yourself you're going to get positive 1, which means you found the right answer. So now we're going to work on our next problem. We're just going to continue working through these guys and give you some practice. Here you have negative 5 plus the variable m is equal to 5. Same sort of thing. It doesn't matter that m over here is the second item in the expression, whereas over here the variable was the first item. It doesn't really matter. What you're trying to do is get m all by himself on the left-hand side. So to do that, you have to do the opposite. Now you have a negative 5 here. What's the opposite of negative or subtraction? The opposite is addition or being positive. So we're going to add 5 to both sides because that's going to get rid of the negative 5. So we just continue to write everything down on the left as usual, but we're going to add 5 to the left, and because of that, we're going to add 5 to the right. Now you can see on the left-hand side, negative 5 plus 5, what is that going to give you? Negative 5 plus 5 is 0. So really all you have on the left remaining is just m. And what you have on the right is 5 plus 5, which is 10. So that's the answer. You see, the goal is just to get m all by himself. Now to check it, you can stick 10 into this variable, negative 5 plus 10. I think you can convince yourself when you do that subtraction or that addition, negative 5 plus 10, you'll get a value of positive 5. So that is how you do that problem. So all of these are going to be really similar. We're just getting practice. What if we had negative 5 is equal to t minus 9. You know, a lot of students get really confused and scared when they see the variable on the right-hand side of the equal sign. So here the variables are on the left-hand side, here the variables on the right-hand side. It doesn't matter. All you're trying to do is trying to get the variable all by himself, whether he's on the left or the right, doesn't matter. You just want him to be by himself. So you look over here and you say, well, I have t minus 9, so I have minus 9. How do I get rid of this minus 9? Well, I have to do the opposite. Opposite of subtraction is addition, so I need to add 9 to both sides. So if I'm doing it to that side, I'm going to add 9 to this side, and I'm going to also add 9 to this side. So all I've done here is I've added 9 to the left and I've added 9 to the right. So on the left you have negative 5 plus 9. You have mixed signs, and you know by now that the way you handle it is subtraction. 9 minus 5 is 4, and the sign goes with the larger absolute value, which is positive, so this remains positive. On the right, you just have t, because negative 9 plus 9 is just 0. It goes away. That's the whole point of what we're doing. We're trying to eliminate them. So you have 4 is equal to t, and of course you can rewrite that as t is equal to 4 to make it a little more sense, and that's the final answer. Now if you take this value of 4 and stick it in here, 4 minus 9, you're going to get negative 5, which is what you observe, what satisfies the equation. All right, we'll just do a couple of additional ones here. Now this one will be a little interesting because it involves a fraction. 4/5 is equal to 1/5 plus d. Now you understand now why I spent so much time in the beginning of this class talking about things like fractions, because here you have an equation, so you have to do everything with regard to the equation and I'm teaching you in algebra, but you have to also know the fractional part. You have to know how to deal with fractions and not be scared of fractions. So here on the right I have a variable. I want to get him all by himself, and I have 1/5, which is positive 1/5. How do I get rid of that? Opposite of plus or addition is subtraction. So it's because I have a positive 1/5 here. How am I going to get rid of that? It's going to be a negative 1/5. So I'm going to subtract 4/5. I'm going to subtract 1/5 from both sides. So 4/5 minus 1/5 on the left. Remember, I can do anything I want as long as I do it to both sides. All I have done here is I've subtracted 1/5 from the left and I've subtracted 1/5 from the right. Okay, and because of that, this is going to give me a big fat 0 here. And on the left, I'm going to have 4/5 minus 1/5. I already have a common denominator, so all you do is take 4 minus 1 on the top, which is 3. The denominator stays the same, equals d. And you can rewrite that as d is equal to 3/5. And that's the final answer. And to check it, you could stick d in here. If you stick 3/5 in here, 1/5 plus 3/5 is going to give you 4/5. So these are simple problems. I realize that a lot of you can already read the answers right off the board without really any effort. The point is to understand what we're doing, because the equations will get harder at some point. X plus 3.2, so here we now have a decimal, is equal to 4.5. You need to understand that the way that we're doing this, it doesn't matter if you have whole numbers like over here, or fractions like we have here, or decimals. It's the same thing. I want to get x by himself. I have plus 3.2. In order to get rid of it, I have to do the opposite, which is subtracting 3.2. So x plus 3.2, I will subtract 3.2 from this side. I will subtract 3.2 from the right-hand side. So on the left, of course, this just gives me 0, so I'm left with x on the left-hand side. What is 4.5 minus 3.2? You can go off to the side, paper and do that subtraction if you want, but what it's going to come out to is 1.3. And that's the final answer. And again, you can take this and stick it in there. 1.3 plus 3.2 is going to give you 4.5, which is the correct answer. So I'm done with this lesson. We're going to solve some more of these equations in the next lesson, but you need to get this idea down that in order to get x, or whatever variable it is, by himself, you need to do the opposite. So when you have addition going on, you need to do subtraction. When you have some negative numbers going on, you need to do the opposite, which is addition. You're trying to kill whatever other numbers are next to your variable. When I say kill them, I'm talking about make it all go away to 0, so that you have the variable by himself on one side of the equal sign, and that's what you're going to do for every one of these problems. So solve these yourself, follow me to the next lesson, and we'll get some more practice with this topic in algebra.